I'm your host, Jason Wilson, and this is part three of our Psychic Abilities series on Darkness to Light.
Okay, thanks, Tommy. One of the things I wanted to touch on too today, are there any psychic abilities that you wish you had, Shaun?
Mm, no, I'm good with. I'm very grateful sitting in the position where I'm at now. I don't think that I sit in that place of gratitude. What has already come towards me. So I maybe pose that to the other folks.
Okay, what do you think, Stacy?
I would agree. I'm grateful for everything that I do, and I do a lot. I can't imagine adding another thing onto the plate. If it comes, then that's wonderful too. I am I s- every day I learn things that I don't believe for one second that I've got everything nailed down. I know exactly how it works, and I think that you know that's a dangerous way to even think in my the way I believe anyway. I'm just grateful for what I do, and if I can do it for a good long time, then I'm happy with that too. And so, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, Exie?
I agree. I mean, I'm very happy where I am. Do I want to learn more? Do I want to know more? Yes. I would love to grow my abilities, and I know that I will. I know they're out there. What they are, I don't know. They'll bring them to me when it's my time.
Hmm.
Um, but I also won't grow if I don't push. So I do. I'm a Virgo, so I do. Hello. It happens. Um, but yeah, I mean, I worked a long time to get to this point. It's what I have always wanted to be able to do, and to help, to guide, to cleanse, to protect, and help, offer, bring people down off a wall, lift them up off the
Yeah.
floor, help them through a door. That is my life, and I wouldn't want anything else. I mean, it's just my gift to them. It's my abilities that were given to me because I am to help other people, and I'm cool with that. I mean, that's okay. If I hang up and with you guys, and 5 minutes later I'm working on a case with somebody, so be it. I'll do that until midnight, and as long as I can help them go to bed and sleep, or help them get the hell out of a house or wherever they are, because they're not going to get sleep, um,
Right.
that's what I'll do, and that's okay.
Okay, for somebody starting out in this field, what advice would you give them? I'm sure that, there's a lot of people that want to do this, but they receive so much negative feedback from either their friends or family and have fear of pursuing it. But what advice would you give them, Shaun?
I'm sorry, I'm still fighting this cold. Advice, I'd say, I definitely think that you should, before you jump in, that you do routinely practice, but at the same time, trust in what comes through, trust in yourself, have faith in your own self. You have to have a strong faith within what's coming through. Just, I don't think that you should just jump in this willy-nilly. At least for me, it wasn't like that. I took several years to trust in what was coming through before I started to do this as a service. And for longest time, I did this for free because I wanted to make sure that what I was providing is a true service that is truly helping people. I went into from a paranormal investigator aspect and generally did it for years for free, trying to help people within that realm before I jumped into the other piece. But I definitely think that trust in what comes through, but at the same time, don't just jump right into this field unless you really truly are ready for any of the negative feedback. Just have a strong foundation. I think the combination of my military background, where I have a strong foundation of wanting to protect people and wanting to do things in the right way, kind of helped me stay balanced. And because it can throw you when you have a tough situation, a tough case, or any of those things been thrown at you. So you have to, at the same time, you need somebody to lean on to kind of go, okay, I had this situation, this is in a place of love. I'm only sharing with you because this was a tough situation within myself. And you need somebody that's going to be there for you to go, you're okay. You did the right thing. Everything's okay. You have to trust in yourself, but at the same time, you're going to have a few of those tough ones that you're going, okay, I'm second guessing this. And I had a tough one, but I know 100% what was coming through is the right thing. I'm talking about a lot of times I'll have tougher cases where you have a home that's, being infested, some tough things that I had to deal with that I've had to relay that it's hard to decide, like, how do I relay something from somebody that the person sitting in front of me doesn't want to talk to? And knowing that it should be relayed, but at the same time, because it needs to be released so that that person will transition. It's a tough situation going into this field, but the main thing you have to tell somebody is to be authentic. And if anybody that comes to me says, okay, what kind of, no offense, but there are some psychics out there that use what I would consider a script, something that's like very generic that wastes a lot of somebody's time. I'm not pointing any fingers to anybody in particular, but don't focus on that. Don't focus on that. Focus on the message that's being relayed. Focus on what's coming through. Don't waste the client's time. Be authentic to who you are. Be authentic and keep pushing forward to do things in a proper manner. What's going to happen is that the word is going to get out that you're authentic, that you are doing the things the right way, and that your client base is going to grow because they know that you're a trusted source. You are somebody that can be counted upon to relay authentic information. So just continue to grow and continue to, there's nobody, I too want to continue to grow within my gifts. Nobody's perfect. If they claim to be perfect, then they're lying straight to you. So it's one of those things, just to keep allowing and keep asking for those gifts to grow and keep allowing those things to come to you, to get clearer and better messages consistently for the client. And, just go in there and be authentic, be yourself, be authentic, deliver the messages in a really loving manner, because some of these messages are super tough, but delivering them with grace in a loving manner that's not brutal, that's truly in grace, is really critical, so that you don't harm the client more than they're already damaged. Being very, very gentle, loving, and allow them to receive the message in a gentle manner. Hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, that's great advice. Stacy, what advice would you give someone?
Wow, Shaun said it. Boy, it's, I think anybody who's going in, if they have any kind of ego, it's time to lose it first. Because you have to be, and this is just my opinion, you have to be called into this. If you go into it acting like a hot shot or whatever, it's just not going to be good for anyone. And you're not going to get messages that come in because ego's in the way. So another thing, if, we all have issues. If you have issues, make sure you take care of them. Because it will get in the way when you are dealing with when you're dealing with anything in the spiritual world, let's face it, right? But to be authentic, to be, like Shaun was saying, we are not perfect. We're human beings, number one. Okay. But your intention, if your intention is pure and you are called to do this and you are open to learn and listen and be guided, doing this kind of work is no place for my personal opinion, my words, my theory at all. I feel like my job is to relay a message, period. And that way I know I can't screw it up, right? Because the message is always the best way. And so there's never any judgment. I had this, we were throwing tarot cards one night at a little diner that we always go to just for fun, and we were just playing, right? And I had this lady walk up to me and ask me for a reading, and I said, sure, have a seat. And come to find out, she was a drug dealer in this city, and she was she was in a mess. All right. And I was talking to her and she was so ashamed of her life. And I'm like, look, baby, there is no judgment here, man. There is none. You asked me to help you, and I want to help you. And here's your message. And so I think that just being open, being just genuine, being authentic, and letting the spiritual side do its work through you is the biggest thing. And checking the ego. If you have an ego, do whatever you need to do to get rid of it, because it's going to be in the way.
Okay, Exie, what would you tell someone?
Well, I've had, I agree with both these guys, with Shaun and with Stacy. I totally, absolutely. And I agree with grace and authenticity, and the ego. Oh my gosh, totally lose it. I've seen a lot of really talented, abilitied people, and they just lose it because it's about them and it's not about their clients or their, the people they're helping. I've mentored several people, and I just tell them to start slow and to use their gut. Everybody has an ability. Everybody has intuition. I mean, you just do. You know when you get chicken skin and you get it for a reason. That's an intuition. And it's very simplistic, but it's real. So those are my basics that I start with people. And I tell them to talk to their guides, talk out loud, talk to the people around them that you right now you can't see or you can't hear. But know that they can see and hear you. And so there's your starting point. It's the trust. You have to trust that they can see you and hear you, and that you have this ability somewhere. So then I tell them to ask questions. Ask a question. The first answer that you get, that's generally the truth of the answer. After that, it's usually ego, or it's your brain kicking in and it's giving you the answer that you want. But you answer this, am I going to get this job tomorrow? And if you get yes, or no immediately, that's your answer, because then after that is usually the secondary part, and that's your brain, and that's so I tell them, stop there, don't take it any further. And that's how you start. So this is the things that I work with people on. And some people, they've never trusted it, they've never been able to take it any farther, and I don't think it's their calling. And I tell them that, cut yourself some slack, get off your back, relax, that'll help, and loosen up. If it then becomes something that you can do, that's wonderful. If it's not, find your abilities, find where your passion is, because maybe this isn't it. I don't know for you. I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to lead your life for that. Keep trying. Certainly keep trying. I talk to all my spirits and my God and everybody every single day, first thing before my feet hit the floor. So it's a trust. I trust that they're there. That's the biggest trust of everybody in the world, whether you have these abilities or not. If you talk to a higher power, there's a lot of trust there, and something you can't see or hear. So I take them from there, and we work forward. And I tell them, use your, I call it my gut. And it's your, it was what they called women's intuition forever. And take it from there and just go slow and let it develop. You can't rush it. Well, you can, but it does not help anything. Makes it worse and bunches it up, and then nothing happens. you know. So I tell them, I said, it's like eating too much white bread, baby. You're going to constipate yourself. So just slow it down, because you need it to flow. Everything is about flow. And that's what I like about Reiki, and about knowing that part of your body, and knowing what's opening and what's flowing and what's clogged, and being able to help yourself there. That's a self-reading, and that's a really cool thing, and a good way to start too. With people, because if you can open up to yourself, then you can open up to spirit.
Have you ever run into a difficult client? Well, and if you did, yeah. If you did, how did you handle it?
Here's the thing. The word ego is really important, because it affects everybody. I mean, I worked with the top psychics in the United States many years ago. I'm talking when I was 20, they were charging $500 for an hour. But I just want to throw this in. Van Prong is actually teaching classes. He's into the money. I don't care what anybody says. He makes tons of money. He's a millionaire, billionaire, whatever he is right now. But he's still doing these classes, and he's teaching classes on that. So if you got money, you can get in touch with him, and he'll start teaching you. But for me, I worked as a UFO investigator for many years with a friend of mine. His name was Sergeant 18. His ego was really big, probably bigger than anybody else I knew. But I had to go along with it, because he was my friend, and we did the work together, and we were dealing with UFOs, creatures, entities, all kinds of weird stuff. But it came to a point, he worked with a being that he called Nishu, and that was like his guide. It was a 8-foot bird being. But then he called his god Dabron. So he talked to Dabron, which was his god, and then Nishu, this alien being, which was his guide. Well, he started getting deathly sick, and I saw it. He goes, oh no, something's coming in and it's going to be really good. I said, what? You look like you're dying. Within 3 weeks, he was pretty much going out. And I said, I have to work on you. And he goes, he finally let me. So I sat him in a chair, I started working on him, and he screamed, don't touch me, you're going to die. And I said, don't worry about me, worry about yourself. And then the next day, he told me this being was on his back, on his spine, sucking his energy out, killing him. I got rid of it. The bird being came back to him and said, why didn't you ask me to stay? The communication, like even ego, when you're dealing with your own spirit guides, even takes place, sometimes overpowering what these spirits are telling you. And until you learn to listen, which is very important when you're dealing with those kind of things, especially your guides, because they're there to help you. They're not there to do anything else other than that. So for me, I helped him, and it was like he never gave me any credit, never said another word about it. But I know he was so close to death, and he would have just died because he thought this new being that was in his body was going to make him something different. And sometimes when we think we're becoming better in some way, we're holding on to it. But it's a way we learn about truth, death, and life, and how we can interfere or not interfere, work with it or not. But it's just one other thing, between that, him and another friend of mine, Sean David Morton, who's in jail right now, both prophesized 9/11 1 year before it happened. Indeed, my friend, Sean, he prophesized it in detail, everything that was going to happen. All right. When it happened, he was nowhere to be found. My other friend who I did this healing on was nowhere. He never went to the Trade Center or anything. You know, when Spirit gives you a message, like you said, you got to give a message out. When angels come and give somebody a message, that message has to get out. And when people hold on to that, it could be a very serious thing for their karma and as them and the rest of the world. But I mean, if you believe in Sodom and Gomorrah, if you believe in Noah's Ark, when these angels came and gave them this advice that they had to follow or not, and they did. But the choice is always us to learn to listen. And I know what we just said, like, listen to the first thing. I know that's for a fact. For most people, it is the first message that comes. But I have a simple technique that I work with people, and I tell you, do this for 1 week or 2 weeks, and you'll know which one you have to listen to. Some people, it is the second one, because their mind just jumps to do it, and they don't even care or think. And so says, no, don't do it. So it's learning, like you have to learn what spirit talks to you, when your soul talks to yourself, or when your mind's playing, I'm in control, I know what I'm doing. So it's a complicated thing. But for me, dealing with all these people in the UFO world, it's more mind-boggling because these people are losing their children and things like that at 8.5 months pregnant. It's not like they say, oh, you're going to be okay, everything's okay. The one I do the show with now, she's still being abducted. She's radioactive. She has serious problems in her body. She's still alive. I think they're keeping her alive for a reason. I don't want to get into all that. But, you know, there's so much outside the box. When you're working inside the box, you work inside the box. When you're working outside the box, you got to work with a lot more stuff. And I'm not saying it in a good or bad way. I never wanted any of the things I got pulled into. I mean, when I was 6 years old, going into the hospital with my brother, and a ship came and almost abducted him, I wasn't ready for that. But I made the ship go back out into space. So at that point, I knew I was protected. And then I started working with the deity. I never met my guides until many years later. So there's things we work with and work through, and it's a serious project. But being a psychic, I truly believe it's a gift, and it's ingrained within spirit, and it just has to be brought out. I mean, not like children are given any kind of spiritual advice or help when they're little anymore, or parents don't know much about it, so they don't work with their child at any level with that. I mean, a couple of years ago, everybody was a crystal child, and everybody said, oh, my child's a crystal child. And it was like, that was the new age world as well, sorry. But it changed. I mean, you don't even hear that much anymore. But it's a serious growth for people, and you do learn something every day, and it helps you get closer to where you need to be when you leave this planet, because you're not going to be here for a long time. And hopefully you're prepared and ready to do what you're going to do when you let go of this body, because this body is so limited to what it can do. In Atlantis, which I'm totally aware of, I mean, I'm aware of them in my lifetimes, but in Atlantis, everybody had 32 psychic abilities. And it was incredible. We lived in bliss. It was beautiful until something came down and started ruining it. So, you know, we can move forward, and then it's always a cycle where we go backwards again. And right now, I think we're so far backwards than moving forward. And there's not enough people trying to stay in balance with life and what's happening. And they want to believe the lies and hear all the stories rather than look for the truth. I always say look for the truth. And if you find it, hold on to it.